What's going on, YouTube? Want to make you all a video showing the caliper conversion on my GS and let you just kind of peek at it and see what you think. I got this completed a couple of days ago, and I think it turned out beautifully. I like the black caliper color. I thought that the orange and the blues were a little too loud, so we stuck with the black. And my shop foreman Danny, I want to give a shout out to him because he did a fantastic job on this conversion. I couldn't be more pleased. I was really concerned about the dust shields being cut and how they would look. I do realize that the rotor kind of covers excuse me, the dust shield, but I still wanted it to look good. So he took his time and he trimmed them, and we put some high temperature paint back over it, and it turned out really, really nice. So I want to give a shout out to Danny first and foremost for doing a fine job with the install. I also want to give a shout out to J168 Vlogs, and you all check his YouTube channel out, because he has given us all kind of an idea, particularly with the front, on how to install this and kind of the steps along the way. And the fronts are really not a big deal. We did decide to trim the dust shield on the front a little bit versus bending it back. My shop foreman told me he just wanted to be on the safe side, so we did trim it. We put some high temperature paint to make sure it was protected and looked good. So I want to give a shout out to J168 Vlogs, Dennis as well. He introduced me to a guy named Dennis. He is not really active on social media, but Dennis has an amazing GS350 that he has done some upgrades to. And he was one of the ones that gave us the idea on the stock wheels on how to make them clear, these calipers. And he was telling me that a small spacer is pretty much the only thing that you would need to make that happen. So just to be clear, and we double check this, the caliper conversion, when you put these massive calipers in, they will not clear the stock GS350 F Sport wheels without a spacer. You have to have a spacer. I went with a H&R 5mm, and the only problem I'm going to tell you all to look out for, if you do this and you use the spacer, you're going to have to probably use a larger spacer that's hub centric with a lip, because the lip that's on this factory hub does not stick out far enough for the wheel to grab onto, for the wheel to stay centered like it's supposed to. So I ordered some more spacers. I went with some off of eBay, because the ones on eBay actually have a 10mm spacer, just a little bit more than the 5, but they do have the lip. H&R does not have an application on 10mm with the lip off of the center hub ring, if that's the proper way to say it. Hope that makes sense. The lowest size you can go on H&R, you have to do a 15, and then you get that little extension off of the spacer, and that's what you need in order for the wheel, when it is tightened down, in order for it to have enough of that center ring to grab onto, the spacer must have a lip on it. It's got to have that extension for this to grab. So as of now, the way it sits, get on the highway with it, I do have a little bit of a vibration, because this is a flat disc spacer, and this will not work when you're doing this mod with the calipers and the rotors, in terms of the wheel being able to sit on the little extension that's off of the center hub. So I hope that I explained that properly. If I didn't, somebody in the comments correct me to say it how I need to say it, so everybody understands. But that's the best way I know to describe it. So my new spacers will be in tomorrow. They have some new lugs included. I'm probably going to go ahead and use the lugs that come with the new spacers, just to make sure I have enough thread to hold the wheel on tight and properly. I don't want any problems. And that's the only thing that I ran across that was an issue that I wanted to mention. But just to kind of recap, I did trim front dust shield. We did, of course, have to trim the rear. I did use a high temp paint. I bought that for my shop foreman. He painted it really good. He made the cuts really good. He took his time. That was a big deal to me, for the cuts to look good. Even though the rotor and the caliper hides it, that was a humongous deal for those cuts to look good. So while I got the car out here and while I'm doing the video, what are the future plans for the car? Well, not much at all. I do want to take some of this fender to tire gap away. I do want to kind of take some of that gap down a little bit. So instead of doing springs, I really think that the RSR coilovers is the way that I'm going to go with this. I also want to tighten up the suspension. I've thought about some more bracing, maybe the Tom's brace that's in the trunk that goes over the top of the rear suspension. I've thought about swapping out the lower control arm bushings to something a little different. And, you know, just probably between those three, I think that's going to take some of the sloppiness out of the car, because these cars are just a little bit sloppy from the factory. They don't ride the best. I mean, the ride is decent, but they are a little sloppy when you really start to push it. In the car's defense, it is a heavy car. So Lexus was trying to balance out that 50-50, giving you a decent ride, but giving you some decent handling. And I just want to tighten the handling up a little bit, tighten the suspension up. So that I'm definitely going to be working towards that. The only other thing cosmetically I want to do is I've had my eyes on some of the carbon fiber mirror replacement covers, not just the stick-ons, but the replacement. And I do really feel like I want to do the Sabon carbon fiber hood as well. I think that'll be just a little bit of carbon fiber on here, and that will help also keep me from having to paint my hood in the couple of little areas that I have some little rock chips here and there. I've gone in, I've tried to touch them up, and of course the paint, the touch-up paint, is never going to match 100%. I had the bumper repainted, had it repainted off of the car, and I don't want a ton of paint work on the car. So my idea on the hood was to do carbon fiber and then put some clear paint protection film over it to protect it. So just let me know what you all think about that. But ultimately, not going to do a whole lot more with this thing. I think it's turning out good. The car is it's aging very well. I don't have a lot of issues. Almost 2 years ago, I shot my interior, and this is how we're looking to date. I mean, not much different than almost 2 years ago when I shot my video. As you all can see, not much different, man. This thing ages great, and it is a great car. So if you all have any questions, just drop it below in the comments. Wanted to come out early this morning and just kind of let y'all know how the caliper conversion turned out. And as I go through and get the spacer ordeal figured out, I'll keep you in the loop. You all have a great morning.